Deep in the quiet woods of Robertson County, Tennessee, the air feels heavier. The birds seem to stop singing. And at the mouth of a dark, gaping cave, locals say you can still feel her watching you. This isn't just a ghost story told around a campfire. This is a tale of an entity so violent, so evil, that it allegedly murdered a man in his own bed. It tormented a young girl until she was a shell of her former self. It was so terrifying that Andrew Jackson, the man who would become the President of the United States, a man who faced British cannons and dueling pistols, supposedly ran away in fear. What was the Bell Witch? Was it a vengeful spirit, a demon, or simply a product of rural hysteria? And more importantly, does it still live inside that cave today? Welcome to the legend of the Bell Witch. If you love stories that blur the line between history and horror, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, because this is a journey into the darkness you won't want to miss. Our story begins in 1817, along the Red River in Tennessee. John Bell, a prosperous farmer, moved his family, his wife Lucy, and their children to a 328-acre property. By all accounts, John was a successful, if somewhat strict man. He was a respected member of the community and a devout Christian. Life was hard on the frontier, but the Bells were making it work. They had land, crops, and a future. But just a few hundred yards from their front door was a limestone cave, a cold, damp wound in the earth that seemed to lead straight down into the unknown. For a while, the cave was just a curiosity, a place to store milk and cheese to keep it cool. But soon, the peace of the Bell farm was about to be shattered by something that lived in those shadows. The haunting didn't start with screams. It started with whispers. Young John Bell Jr. was walking through the cornfields when he saw a strange animal, bizarre creature with the body of a dog and the head of a rabbit. When he tried to approach it, it vanished into thin air. Soon, the family began hearing strange noises outside their cabin at night, a persistent knocking on the doors and windows, the sound of rats gnawing in the walls, though no rats were ever found. Then, the physical attacks began. Bedding was ripped off sleeping family members. Invisible hands slapped the children awake. They heard the sound of heavy chains being dragged across the floor, but when they lit a lantern, the room was empty. The family was terrified, but they were practical people. They assumed it was a prank, a neighbor trying to scare them. But pranksters don't do what happened next. The true horror began when the spirit found its voice, and it directed its cruelty at the youngest daughter, Betsy Bell. It started with a faint whistling sound, then a choked whisper. Finally, a clear, articulate voice echoed through the cabin. It sang hymns, it recited scripture, and then it turned vicious. The entity introduced itself. It claimed to be the spirit of Kate Batts, a neighbor of the Bells, who was known around the county as an eccentric and difficult woman. She believed John Bell had cheated her in a land deal. Now she was back for revenge, and her target was Betsy. The witch would pull Betsy's hair until she screamed. It would slap her face until it was red and swollen. It would force her to swallow pins and needles. The family watched in helpless terror as their daughter was physically assaulted by thin air. But the witch saved its ultimate hatred for the patriarch, John Bell. The entity declared that he would never drink from his own well again. And soon, John Bell began to suffer a mysterious illness. His tongue swelled, making it impossible to speak or eat. He had violent twitching fits. One day, John Bell found a mysterious bottle on his nightstand. Thinking it was medicine, he took a dose. It was poison. The witch laughed, claiming responsibility. On December 20th, 1820, as John Bell lay in a coma, the witch shrieked in victory. With the final rattle of his breath, the spirit screamed, "I am determined to have a toast tonight. I have taken old John Bell off." When the family opened the bottle to analyze the poison, they found it empty. The witch had taken the evidence. John Bell was dead, and if the legend is to be believed, he is the only person in American folklore to have been killed by a ghost. The story of the Bell Witch spread like wildfire. It reached the ears of a frontier hero and military general, Andrew Jackson. Jackson was fascinated by the supernatural, and he decided he was going to confront this spirit himself. He gathered a team of witch doctors and soldiers and headed to the Bell farm. But as his wagon approached the property, the wheels suddenly locked. It was as if an invisible hand had grabbed the axles. No matter how hard the horses pulled, the wagon wouldn't move. Then the air filled with a voice. It echoed through the trees, promising to meet them at the house. Jackson, the hero of the Battle of New Orleans, a man who had faced death 100 times, reportedly turned pale. He later allegedly said, "I'd rather fight the entire British Army than spend another night with the Bell Witch." He and his men packed up and left immediately, never returning. After John Bell's death, the haunting slowly faded, but it never truly ended. The spirit promised to return in 100 years, and in 1935, new reports of strange phenomena surfaced in the area. Today, the Bell Witch Cave is a destination for thrill seekers and paranormal investigators from all over the world. Visitors to the cave report sudden drops in temperature, the feeling of being touched, and whispers that seem to come from the rock walls themselves. Is it just the power of suggestion? Or is Kate Batts, or whatever that entity really was, still lurking in the darkness, waiting for the next family to move in? The Bell Witch legend has been told for over 200 years. It has inspired books, movies, and countless sleepless nights. Whether you believe it was a ghost, a demon, or a hoax, one thing remains true. The story has seeped into the soil of Tennessee. It's a reminder that some things don't need to be real to be terrifying. They just need to be believed. Would you spend a night inside the Bell Witch Cave? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of America's greatest legends, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who loves a good scare. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another story from the dark side of history. Thanks for watching, and sleep tight. We'll see you in the next one.